Hey there, total female hockey family. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is physicality. There's no question we're seeing more and more physicality at the top level of the women's game, especially in the PWHL and the Swedish Elite League, which are both leagues that allow body checking. Now, it looks different than what we might see at the top level of the men's game, but it's still there. And even if we watch college hockey, even if we watch junior hockey, heck, even if you go and watch your U13 hockey down the street, the game is very physical. It is not non-contact hockey. So really the question is, how are we best preparing our players to have success in our sport? Not necessarily for the full body checking that we might see in the PWHL, but just so that they can own their space and compete with confidence on both the defensive and offensive side of the puck. So that's what we're going to chat about today. Now, we're going to start it off with a little bit of clips of full body checks from the PWHL. Now, some of these are penalties, some of them aren't. This is the highest level of physicality that we're going to see in the women's game. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to filter down to the lower levels, but it's there and it's going to keep coming at the top levels. So we'll watch a few clips here. Might get the blood boiling a little bit. They might get you excited. I get lots of debates online whether there should be body checking in our game or not. So let's watch it and then we'll go through and talk about how we would teach physicality, again, from the youngest age groups, U7, U9, all the way up to this top level to ensure our players can play with confidence both with and without the puck. So I'm just going to talk as these plays go by. You're going to see lots of big hits. Again, a lot of these are penalties, and these are from last season. So even if we watch the PWHL now, these players are a lot more comfortable both giving and taking these hits. And you can see they're skating in the same direction, which is a bit of the directive, is that if they're skating the same direction, it's less of a penalty or less of a chance of being called a penalty. So again, this is just any old week in the PWHL. This isn't necessarily a greatest hits list, but you can see how physical it is and how challenging it is, even for the best players in the world, to navigate what's legal and what's an illegal hit. Like I said, they're way better at it this season than they were last year. But again, there's these big moments when you got to learn how to give and take a hit that are a reality at the top levels of our sport. Like I said, I don't think this is coming down to your local U11 game anytime soon. But if we do have players who aspire to play at this kind of level, is this something that we need to start preparing them for when they're younger and younger? I think physicality is one of the fundamental 5 skills. It's right there with skating, shooting, puck control, and passing, and we need to teach it in the same way. We don't wait to teach players how to pass until they're 13 years old. We don't wait to teach them how to shoot until they're 11. We start those fundamentals back when they're 4 and 5 years old, and I think physicality is the exact same way. So again, not advocating for big cross checks or big hits at the blue line, but these are things we need to teach. So I teach these things at our camps. Really, I focused on it for the last 6 years because I see how much it can help you dominate both on the offensive and the defensive side of the puck. For today, I really want to focus on the offensive side of the puck. And I love having shared vocabulary and shared terms that we can use with our teams and our coaches to increase everyone's level of confidence in what we're teaching on the ice. And so one big term that we use all the time, especially on the offensive side of the puck, is the idea of owning your space. We're not shrinking away from contact. We're not trying to hide along the boards. We are moving into our players who are defending us. We are owning the space that we're in. We're not shrinking away. So I love that term, and it's something I hear the coaches that I work with all the time use, and I use it all the time with the players I'm coaching on the ice. Own your space. Own your space. And again, if you've got the little black thing, you've worked hard to get that puck, you don't want to run away with it just because you see contact. You want to be able to own that space and get to the good ice in between the dot lines, into the front of the net where all the goals are scored. So if that's the overarching concept, which is owning your space, then these are the terms that we used to teach underneath it. And they kind of layer one on top of each other. So all our players need to understand how to win the lane, how to build a wall, how to build an escape route, and how to spin off and make the next play. So this can happen along the walls anywhere in the rink, whether we're breaking out, whether we're in the offensive zone, whether we're in the neutral zone, whether we're on the power play. These are all key concepts that fall under that main concept of owning your space. And what I want to do today is show you some of the drills that I use to teach these fundamental drills Like I said, all the way from 7-year-olds all the way up to the national teams I work with. And don't take for granted that your players know how to do this. They might know, but are they consistently doing it with confidence? And when we're talking about the offensive side of the play, are they using it to drive the offense of your team? So again, are they able to do net drives? Are they able to get out of a pin in the corner and spin off and either drive the puck to the net themselves or make a play to a player in the slot? These are really, really fundamental skills that keep us from playing hot potato hockey and just rimming it up the wall and hoping that someone else will get the puck. I call those hope plays, when you just throw it away and you hope that someone gets that. Well, we see a lot of hope plays when the play is physical and when it's along the wall. So if it's physical in front of the nets, are we making hope plays? If it's physical along the walls, are we making hope plays? Or are we making hockey plays? Do we understand when to hold on to that puck? Do we understand when to move it up the wall to a teammate? Do we understand how to fish it out safely so that we can be the one driving the puck and making the next play? Again, these are things that we might take for granted. We may never have taught our players, or as a player yourself, you may have never learned. So again, today I just want to give you some fundamental drills that I use, and I'm going to show it with a couple of 8-year-olds, and I'm going to show it with a couple of 16, 17-year-olds, so you can see how these fundamental drills work irrespective of what age and level you're at. We have to build that foundation in the same way you build your foundation of skating. Once you learn how to balance on one foot, or you learn how to use your inside edge, it's not like you check that box once when you're 8 or 9 years old and you never work on your inside edges again. Of course, we're going to see 16, 17, 18, 28-year-old players still working on their inside edges. They're a lot better at them than most 7 and 8-year-olds are, but they don't just check that box and move on. And I think sometimes when we're talking about physicality, we work on it on the defensive side of the puck. So how to pin, how to protect your goalie, how to beat goal side, how to move people in front of the net. But how often are we really learning it and teaching it on the offensive side? And like I said, this is something we do all the time in all our summer camps. And quite frankly, we do it in most of our skill sessions throughout the years because it works really well. It's one of those skills that if you get really good at it, it immediately changes the way you play the game. So you can spend 2-3 hours learning it in a clinic and then immediately apply it in the next game you're playing. And people notice because there's a different level of confidence, composure, and owning your space on the ice that maybe just wasn't there before because you didn't have those fundamental skills. So let's walk through some of these drills here, and I'll talk you through how we're developing these key concepts underneath the overarching concept of owning your space. So we'll walk through it here. We're going to start with Queen of the Ring. So for all the coaches out there, if you don't have ringette rings, I don't care what age group you're coaching at, they're a great tool to have to work on stick lifts, to work on puck protection, to work on body positioning. I love using the rings even with our older teams and our older players because it's quite easy to hang on to. And so it'd be really, really hard if you had 2 U18 players doing this drill, trying to steal the puck off each other. They couldn't just do it whacking it away with their stick. They would have to get in there with their body, get their butt on the hands, get in there and use their body for leverage in order to be able to lift that stick and steal the ring. It's great for U9 players because often their stick handling is not as strong as their skating or their body positioning. So if we put a puck in here, often the other player is just going to be able to steal it because that player doesn't quite handle the puck as well as she uses her body or uses her inside edges. So I love this variation for the young ones, but I also love this variation for the older ones because it forces them to really, really engage physically. Not just the player trying to get the ring, but also the player who's got the ring by pushing back into the defender's hands and keeping her from being able to use her stick effectively. So we'll run it here. You can see here, she's just building that wall. So she didn't have to win the lane here because she already started with the ring, but she's just using her body and her inside edges to push back. Notice she's not running away to the other side of the ice. You know, she's using her legs, she's using her elbow. You can tell these players have done this drill a lot of times. They're not being shy. I love that leaning in there to protect it. And you just see it's a hard battle between 2 young players to compete for that ring. Now, we don't call it Queen of the Ring when we get the puck in there. We call it Own the Puck, but same idea. One player is going to start with the puck. These are U18 players now, and she's just going to focus on building that wall. So can she create this idea of puck, me, bad guy? Puck, me, bad guy. That's what the wall is. That's your body. And so again, these players are very, very experienced. They play at the highest level. how are they going to own the puck in this scenario? Now, just like in the last video, I didn't tell these players to go to 100%. I told them to go 60%. So it's more of a warm-up type of drill as opposed to full tilt battle, but certainly we could do this as a full tilt battle as well. They'd absolutely love it, and they'd get a lot of value out of it as well. So we'll watch these older players go through the same drill. So you can see the player with the puck just spinning off. I like how she's leaning in. I'd like her to lean in a little bit more, but you can see how she's engaging those inside edges and even those outside edges to really keep positioning and own that puck. So again, these are fundamental skills to be able to win walls and get pucks off the wall into the middle of the ice where we want them to be. So again, something to use as a warm-up, something to use consistently, whether the players are 7 years old or 17 years old. Now, this is definitely a fan favorite. Skate through the gate. All my players love this one. Super fun. So you can see the cones there just by the word through. So I'm going to dump a puck into the wall, and these two are going to go in and battle hard to gain possession of that puck and then skate it back through that gate from the outside to the inside where the good ice is, where the nets are, where their teammates likely are, where they can make plays towards the net, either themselves skating it into that area or by making a pass into this area. So this could easily be done as a breakout drill. This could easily be done as a neutral zone drill. I love doing it in the offensive zone, so we reward the player who wins the puck battle with a shot on net. So lots of different variations here, and this is probably the most simple and basic version of it. So you can see here, puck goes in, and they're just battling hard for positioning. There's a lot of stick infractions here. One of these is my kid, so that, that's not her fault. That's just genetics. But you can see here, they battle hard. They're going hard. They've done this drill a bazillion times, so they have no problem with the level of physicality. But it's hard to get it off the wall. It's hard to build that wall and spin off of it. So here, the big one's built the wall, but she hasn't quite figured how she's going to spin off yet. Finally, she gets her opening and spins through into the middle. So not easy to do. And you can imagine if you have a group of 4, 6, 8, 10 players, how many repetitions they can get in quick succession with that type of drill. You could set up multiple gates all over the ice. We love that one at hockey camps because there's a lot of different variations. We can do skating to start. We can do different body positions to start. We can do a whole bunch of different variations in terms of rimming the puck to them. And this variation I love, which is they have to start through in a pin. So this is scripted. The puck's in the one who's on the wall's feet, and the player who's in the back can't fish for it right away. So when the coach says go, the player against the wall is going to push off, push her butt out, and build the escape route. So before we were talking about winning the lane, now we're talking about building an escape route for yourself. So you have to have somewhere to turn into. You can't just stay squished along the wall here and hope that you're going to squeeze your way out and kick that puck out. If you can push off with your arms and stick your butt out and get yourself a little bit of space, now you can spin off either way and make your play towards the middle of the net. So again, when we first start teaching this, we are instructing the player who's doing the pinning to maybe go 60%, but certainly allow the player on the wall to push out so that she can learn how to build that escape route and use her spin-off moves effectively. So we'll let it run here. As you can see, when I say go, the big one pushes off, okay, and quickly the other one comes back, and she's got that escape route. She knows where she wants to go, loses the puck here. Now we go back into the wall, so someone's got to gain possession. Again, lots of penalties would be called here. They've lost the puck, but they're having fun. Okay, that's probably illegal, and then we skate through the gate. But you can see, if we roll this back a little bit, that initial pin position, this happens all the time in our games. Whether the players know what they're doing or don't know what they're doing, I would argue most of them don't know how to get out of it. The defensive player might know how to do it, but how often are we teaching the offensive player how to get out of it safely, but also in a way that allows her to drive the offensive side of the play? So let's roll it again here. You can see her push off. Now she has an escape route. She can go left, she can go right. I would have liked to see her use it a little bit more quickly, but again, she's still got that escape route, and the little one does a good job of cutting through her hands there. And again, we're battling hard along the wall. You can imagine these kids are 8 in this video, maybe 7. How many reps they get like this, that when they go into a game situation, how much confidence they're going to have going into the wall. And again, I work with players as young as 7-year-olds all the way up to 27-year-olds. And it's amazing how many of those middle age group players, 13, 14, 15, 16, just don't seem to have confidence in these situations. And I think a lot of it is just we haven't taught it. We've spent so much more time on the other fundamental 4 skills, skating, passing, shooting, puck control. We haven't really spent a lot of time on the physicality side of it. And so that's why I think it's so important to build this foundation and reinforce this foundation. So even if you're 7, you're just starting out, I think you have a huge advantage. But if you're 13, 14 years old and you haven't really done that, you haven't built that foundation, you can still do it. It's still something you can do with confidence. And certainly as the bodies get bigger and the speeds get higher, we want to make sure that our players are staying safe and they're gaining confidence in all aspects of physicality. So now you're going to see the same drill with the bigger kids. So they're a little bit better at defending. They're a little bit better at the puck control, but you can see we get pinned in and she's got to find her way out. So you can see her push right there off the wall and she immediately establishes that escape route. So let's just see that again. These guys are being nice to each other because they are teammates. But you can see here, she doesn't have an initial path out. Then she gets pinned. She doesn't just stay along the wall and do the running man against the wall. She pushes back and then she gets on that shoulder and spins off. So really simple drill that at this age group might end with a shot on net. It might end with activating someone in the middle of the ice for a 2-on-1. It might turn into a full ice 2-on-1 going back the other way. This is a way you can also enter drills, but I think just getting repetitions. It's great for your Ds, they're going to get pinned by forecheckers. It's great for your forwards because they're going to get pinned by Ds in the offensive zone. Everybody needs these skills irrespective of what position they're playing as skaters. And I think we just need to get a lot more of those fundamental reps in. Hey Orange Machine members, you're going to get full access to 3 more drills that I use with all my players and all my teams to take their confidence to the next level battling along the walls. For those of you who are members of the Orange Machine, you're going to get access to all these videos. You're going to get access to the practice plans. You're going to be able to get all of this sent your way through the Orange Machine. For those of you who are just listening in on the podcast, I hope you enjoyed the videos. I hope you have a chance to use them. And even if you're just you and your buddy going out and setting up a couple cones or bringing a ring to the outdoor rink and practicing these skills on your own, it's going to make a huge difference. Again, having confidence on the offensive side of the puck to be able to drive the play for yourself and for your team is such an important skill. It's something that all the scouts really look for when you move up to higher levels, but even coaches who might be looking to recruit you for their team for next season. Having that level of confidence and using your body to drive to the middle of the ice, especially when there isn't full body checking at our lower levels, this is really something that you can use to your advantage to take your game to the next level and to increase the level of offensive scoring for your team, which is at this time of the year, especially playoffs, everybody wants to have. So if you want access to the practice plans, you got to head over to the Total Female Hockey website and click on the Orange Machine. There's also a link to that down in the show notes. But I thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate you watching the drills. I really enjoy teaching the physicality. And for those of you who are going to be in the Toronto area this August, I'll be teaching all these aspects of physicality and more of the nuances and details at our Total Female Hockey summer camps and skills sessions. So you can check that out on totalfemalehockey.com as well if you want to join us on the ice this summer. But thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Keep working hard and dreaming big, and we'll see you again soon.